Memories dating back to the year of 1910 bring to mind when my husband, Dr. Furman, started to practice medicine in Richardson, North Dakota. In June of that year, we were married in Wisconsin, where I lived. Late that night, we took the train for Richardson, arriving the second night, just at break of day. Richardson had a population of about 1,500 to 2,000, mostly Hungarians and Russians. It was a Catholic town and had a large monastery and church. The monastery housed a college where young men studied for the priesthood. There was one other doctor in town who professed to be a Catholic for the sake of business. He was a drinking man and, as a result, not very popular. The head nurse of the monastery, who was studying for the priesthood, liked Dr. Furman, and he called him whenever a doctor was needed. He was a convert and told Dr. Furman that he had to forfeit his nursing diploma when he began to study for the priesthood. He invited us to see him ordained. Dr. Furman was busy, so he wanted me to go. I asked a friend to accompany me. Our paths crossed once more, but sadness and mystery were connected with it, and I don't feel free to go farther. The public school was on the outside of the town, and it had a very neglected appearance. My husband and I decided we would move before we had children of school age. In a short time, we had a circle of friends who were either teachers or worked in the bank, drugstore, or some business. I formed some close friendships I have kept ever since. Quite a number of these friends came to California. Automobiles had just come into use. Dr. Furman had an Overland. It had one seat, no top, no windshield, and a platform back. The engine had to be cranked to start, and the horn was a squeeze bulb. The roads were just dirt roads across the prairies, and the tires were far from what they are today. Many times we had to stop and patch tires and then pump them up by hand. Within a day or two after we arrived, a country call came, and I accompanied my husband. Not being wise to the use of cold creams, I sailed forth with a wide-brimmed hat and a blue chiffon scarf tied on. What that hot wind and sun did to my lily-white skin is sad to relate. Every patient who came into the office wanted to meet the bride, and there I was, burned to a crisp. I'll never forget how embarrassed I was. I continued to accompany my husband on long trips until our children came. At one place, a young Hungarian woman was about to give birth to her first child. It turned out to be a long, drawn-out affair, and night was coming on. A German neighbor lady asked me to spend the night with her. Her home was neat and clean, and I slept on a high feather bed. The Hungarian home was a one-room with a lean-to. It had a dirt floor, and a pig slept under her bed. A plank led from the lean-to entrance to the other door, and when it rained, the water seeped in. Poor Daddy spent the night on the plank. Next morning he had to use forceps to take the baby. When we called 4 days later, the baby had died. He felt it was due to ignorance or neglect. A call came to a ranch about 10 miles out one night, and I stayed at home. The patient was a grown daughter of the rancher, but not of his present wife. The daughter just happened to be visiting there and was taken sick. By the way, she had a very bad reputation. Dr. Furman found the rancher's wife to be a very interesting person, and she made him promise to bring me out to meet her. We were near there one day and dropped in. I was surprised to find anyone with her poise and dignity stuck out in the hills on a ranch. They had a roomy sod house, and it was cool on a hot day. Her husband was a tall man of few words. I would judge he was 10 or 15 years younger, or older, than his wife. He read all the time, but never mentioned anything he had read or tried to be sociable. A cloud hung over his head, although there was no proof of his guilt. His son used to own the ranch. He and his dad couldn't see eye to eye, and one day the son's body was found under a cliff with a bullet hole through him. I found that Mrs. Caldwell and I had something in common. She was from Washington, D.C., and had had a dressmaking establishment there. She told about the high prices they got for some of their dresses. Her clothes fit her perfectly, and somehow I couldn't doubt her word. She had the chickens and all she could make off them. She even had some fancy chickens to add spice to her venture. She had learned to use the rifle and could take a hawk on the wing. My husband and I wondered if it had been a case where he had advertised for a wife, and she was the answer. She prided herself on her fried chicken and invited us out for dinner.